You guys are great. Welcome once again, everybody, to another episode of the Prove Me Wrong podcast. This is my favorite album podcast. We've done a couple already. I've been lucky enough today to have Dennis Miller back with me. There's Dennis on the screen. Say hi, Dennis.
Hey, how's it going?
Dennis loves being on the screen.
Not at all.
And we're also really, really lucky tonight to have Christina from the podcast. She's back on. You see, I actually have her name there on the bottom right, so you know who she is. She can't even speak.
Hi.
It's so impressive. So what we've done is what we've done every other time. So before, for those of you who didn't know before, we've done this with Kiss. We've done this for Van Halen. I had a Van Halen shirt on when we did this. I have a Beatles shirt on now. I don't have a Kiss shirt because I don't have enough money to buy one for all the royalties that I have to pay to Gene and Paul.
That's right.
But
and Target was out of them.
And yeah,
Yeah, that's more like it.
I'll get you a Kiss shirt.
oh, I appreciate that.
I'm serious.
I want one of those.
He doesn't like too much stuff going on in his
I don't.
shirts.
I like very simple writing,
I got one for you.
and that's really it.
I have it already. I don't have it with me, but I have it.
And I wear a medium.
Okay. Let's see what I can do.
I'm just throwing it out there.
A medium.
No, it's not medium. It's flat out medium.
Millennium.
No. Okay,
Something.
so usually Dennis and I do this alone. Christina wanted to get a part of this. She wanted to get in on this because we are doing the Beatles today. The Beatles, who are, to me, the most influential band in my life. I think you can probably take a poll of 200 people all time, and they'll probably 190 of them maybe might tell you that, or it's quite a bit.
And the other 10 would be lying?
Yeah, the other 10
Or in
are
denial or something?
yeah, they're those guys that sit at Starbucks and try to act
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
They know the Beatles are the shit, but they don't want to mention it. So they'll start saying something random and like yes or something.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So what we've done is Dennis has picked his favorite album. Christina has picked her favorite album. I've picked my favorite album, or at least I'm going to pick one that's different than Christina's and try to.
Oh, do we have the same one?
We would have, but so I picked a different one so I could make the case for that one. I think it's not hard to do. You could pick anything. Well, you could pick almost anything and say it's the best Beatles album, and you might not be wrong, at least in my opinion. But I personally, I don't know about the rest of you, I personally like stuff that came from 1966 to about 70. I think there were 5 albums there. Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper, Magical Mystery Tour, White Album, Let It Be. Damn, is there more than that? Abbey Road. That's 7 albums.
Yeah.
I think they had like 12. How many albums do they have? 12 albums? Something like
I've
that?
never really thought about the number, but, because they just put out, even after the fact, they're just like, hey, there's another Beatles album. We don't know what it's called, but here it is.
Well, they were only together for 8 years.
Yeah.
In reality.
70 was the end.
But they were putting 3 albums a year out
That's crazy.
for 8 years.
People don't do that nowadays.
I mean, who has that kind of, proliferation? I mean, I get it that they were kind of forced to. The record companies made them do it.
But another way to look at it, and I'm not taking anything away from the Beatles because
Sure.
I love the Beatles, but they had a cleaner palette to work from than now. Now you can sit down with a guitar and it's like, that's been done. That's been done. They were kind of, they had a clear slate, so they could really just be like, let's do this, and they could do it, and it was like, yep.
But again, I agree with you 100%. I think you could do that really with anything at this point. There's nothing that hasn't been done almost at this point. And I guess it was kind of a new world back then. You put something together and, wow, what is this rock and roll thing? Let's burn it.
Yep.
It's the devil.
And they just happened to be the most talented writers and, produced band on the planet at the time. I mean, even still to this day, maybe not production-wise compared to what's going on now, but still great. Don't get me wrong.
It's like inflation though, right? It's like a house cost $40,000 back then, but it was really like a $400,000 house. It's kind of the same thing. You can say their production wasn't great, but for
the
what
time.
they had, and they're doing that shit on tape tracks and just keep overdubbing, and they didn't have these enormous digital things they have now. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing the sounds they got, the instrumentation.
Agreed.
Yeah. What are we gonna,
So we're not going to get into.
What are we going to fight about?
I don't think we're going to fight about anything. I'm just going to.
There's nothing to fight about on this podcast, unfortunately.
No.
You will see no chairs being thrown or anything. It's not going to be,
Nope.
you know.
It's
But
all love.
we'll talk about it.
All you need is love, guys.
That's right.
Well, no doubt. So, again, for me, I'm not going to get into please me and that kind of stuff. They were a boy band to me in the beginning. They suddenly somehow we're not going to get into that.
And see, some people like that. Like the older,
I love that. I love that stuff too.
Yeah, I like it, but like my stepdad, he loves it. He doesn't like the Beatles after that. He doesn't like the Beatles after Paul died.
Well, I wasn't going to get into Paul dying, but something happened between 1965. Well, it was Rubber Soul. Between Rubber Soul, or was it Revolver? It was Revolver and Sgt. Pepper.
I always get the order.
I think Rubber Soul came, and then Revolver came, and then Sgt. Pepper came. So right between Revolver and
right.
Sgt. Pepper was this enormous change, and that's kind of what it's kind of the everybody else's measuring stick for anyone. You know, Ozzy Osbourne today is still talking about he hasn't made his Sgt. Pepper. You know,
Right.
He says that a lot. So it's kind of almost become a what was
A benchmark or a something like that.
That's right. And people
Yeah.
think, you know, when I've hit my pinnacle, that's my Sgt. Pepper. So, Dennis or Christina, I'm going to let. No, Christina
I
doesn't want
wanna
to
go
go first.
You don't want to go first?
I don't want to go
Why
first.
not? Why? There's no wrong. It's
want-
all. Everything's good.
I want you guys to go first.
I'll go. I don't care.
Dennis is going to go first.
I'll go first.
So go ahead, Dennis. Tell us what
Okay.
your album was.
My album is Sgt. Pepper's.
Sgt. Pepper and his Lonely Hearts Club Band.
That's right.
What about that album, Dennis, turns you on?
Everything.
And that's it, folks. Thank you. Good night.
No, it's just I guess it's just one of those albums that I heard from maybe first. Might have been some of the first stuff, like full album wise. Of course, I heard, you know, Love Me Do and Can't Buy Me Love, all that stuff. But I think it was probably the first Beatles album I experienced in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I just love the way it's put together, and A Day in the Life at the end, just cool the way they just. Here it comes. There you see?
No doubt. Well, no, it absolutely, it comes in a way that you are not expecting. You know, they are announcing we are no longer to me, they are announcing we are no longer the Beatles. We are something different now. We are something new. Getting into the album cover art where, you know, the old band is off to the right of them and the new band is here and we have our new gear on. And depending on who you talk to, it's a death scene. It's a scene of, you know, where we've killed the old band, they're gone, and this is something new, and they come right out and introduce themselves and go into it. And you're right, the track list, you know, "Fool on the Hill" is after Magical Mystery Tour, "Flying," "Blue Jay Way," "Your Mother Should Know," "I'm the Walrus." It kind of really gets into it at the end. But "Hello Goodbye," "Strawberry Field," "Penny Lane." I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm on my. This is mine.
I was going to say, wait, this is not.
Wait a minute.
He just revealed.
I just revealed which one mine is. I should go back and not tell you what that was. But mine's actually Magical Mystery Tour.
Yeah.
That's the one I was going to use, Magical Mystery Tour. And I'll get into why later.
You're not wrong though.
I'm not. See, there you go. I'm still not wrong.
I don't even know what she chose yet, and she's not wrong.
No.
Should I just say it?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, we all know it's Abbey Road.
Abbey Road was yours.
Of course.
Okay, so okay, now we've level set. Now that I've let the cat out of the bag and told everybody what mine was, I picked Magical Mystery Tour, and the reason I picked it was because you picked Abbey Road.
So Abbey Road's really your favorite.
Not for the purposes of this
That's right.
episode. For the purposes of this episode, I am going to sell you on why Magical Mystery Tour is the best. But
All right, that's an interesting. I
right,
like that. I like that take. Yeah.
But to go back to you then, Sgt. Pepper, with a little help from my friends, they throw a bone to Ringo there, which is what they usually do once an album.
Right.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Getting Better, Fixing a Hole, She's Leaving Home, Benefit of Mr. Kite, When I'm 64, Lovely Rita, Good Morning, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club kind of goes in, it kind of filters back out, and then it ends with A Day in the Life.
I guess my only complaint is it's not long enough.
Well,
It is, but I'm just saying. Opposed to what Christina chose. The only thing that's better is it's just more.
Yeah, it is long.
Just more of it.
Yeah.
And it's all just amazing.
Well, if we were just going to look at, to me, just by the length, then we would all say White Album was the best album with double CD, double album, whatever it may be. But no, I mean, yes, because again, I discovered the Beatles organically. I know that's a word that Christina loves, is when I say organically. Something happens organically.
Like an album popped out of your room?
That's right.
I was using
the restroom and
hey, looky there.
An album occurred.
Gross.
I was on the toilet and an album happened.
But it wasn't a turd at all.
It happened organically. I put it on a turntable and it played. But no. But in reality, I discovered it on my own. I discovered it, and then I started to play those albums. And
What do you mean you
can I
discovered
back
it
up?
on your own?
I was about to ask the same question. How do you,
I didn't have anybody.
Well, how did you get a hold of the album?
Where
How I discovered the Beatles in general, I heard, "Got to Get You Into My Life" on the radio. I heard "Got to Get You Into My Life" on the radio. What album is that on? I think it's on. Is that on the White Album? No.
I get them all confused.
I'd have to look up what exactly "Got to Get You Into My Life" was on, but I heard it, and I heard those horns. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And I actually thought it was just Paul McCartney, because I knew Paul McCartney at that age. This was the early 80s from Wings. Mm-hmm. So I knew Paul McCartney, silly little love songs and My Love, and With a Little Luck.
Let Him In.
He was the star then. And actually it was because...
Band on the Run.
And the reason was because of Live and Let Die, because that James Bond movie came out in the mid 80s, and he did the soundtrack for it, or the theme song.
Right.
So I picked up Paul McCartney. I was like, oh, it's Paul McCartney. I haven't heard this song, and I was into it. I was way into it. And then they said it's the Beatles, and I was like, well, who's the Beatles? And I was only 10, maybe. I wasn't that old, so it's not a sin for a 10-year-old not to know what the Beatles were. So then I just started I looked up what album that was on, which was very hard back in 1984 to have to look up.
You probably just asked your mom.
Well, my mom didn't know what album that was on. Really? She did not. So I looked it up and just started kind of listening to it from there. But I definitely, it just changed my whole perspective. At that point I was way into hair band stuff,
Right.
And you really didn't notice, you didn't know some of the older stuff that would influence you later. But that opened my eyes from that point on. And then I was just,
and a lot of times you would shun it too. I mean, at least for me, it would be like, it's like, well, I like this stuff. I'm not gonna. That's old dinosaur rock or whatever. But same for me though. It was the Beatles. It was like there's something there,
Well, it's like any kid. I saw two kids I told this story before. I saw two kids in a line at the store, and they were right in front of me in a line at the store, and they were talking about this new band that the one kid had just discovered, and he was like, "Oh man, this stuff is great. This album is awesome. It's called what was the band's name? The Black Crowes. It's called Shake Your Moneymaker." And this was 3 years ago. And these kids, this was 3 years ago.
In line at Publix.
This just happened. Okay.
This just happened. And so these kids had just discovered this. And so to them, it was new. So to me, it wasn't, to me, it was brand new. I was just discovering it. It was blowing my mind. I was telling my buddies, hey, have you heard this Beatles shit? And they're like, oh, man. So then we all kind of got into that. Because at that point, we were into Night Ranger and all that kind of stuff. But that's how it happened for me. Christina was different. She had family who worked her in, right?
Yeah. Since I was a kid. Like I said, my stepdad and my mom, they liked the older stuff. And then my other mom.
You had a lot of family.
I did. But yeah, she loved the Beatles. And she played it constantly. Like all of it. Like Sgt. Pepper was that was huge in our house. Huge, like all the time. Because it was my sister's favorite.
It was just so sonically different. I mean, it was just so much different than even the album before it, again.
Yeah. So I was like, I was like just confused when people didn't know who the Beatles were. Like, really? Like, it just always was playing in our house.
They took a lot of production chances and, just experimented, and it was I don't know. I was, even from an early age, when I heard weird sounds, even like we talked about the beginning of the Van Halen with the car horn, same thing, it's like, what is that? How did that happen? And still to this day, I don't know how they did some of the things they did on Sgt. Pepper, some of the sounds they made, and that's
and very slyly working
50
in
something years ago,
drug references and and the lyrics were really
the Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, the
very,
LSD, and they tell that story that maybe that wasn't. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but
and I heard that stuff so young that never even occurred to me. I just thought these lyrics were, sweet. Who comes up with this stuff as like a great bedtime story? It didn't sound like,
Do you guys
I had
know
no clue.
Do you know the story about the Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds where John Lennon says it came from?
No.
Well, everybody's always said it's a drug reference, but he says his son drew a picture that was on the fridge of Lucy in the Sky, and then it had a diamond on it. It was a crayon drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, is what he says. That was his.
That he saw when he was tripping. No, I'm kidding.
Right? Probably. He didn't say he wasn't tripping, but
right?
Yeah. But he said his son drew it, and it was on the fridge, and that's where he came up with the idea. And it said Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds on it.
It's just as good as any. Just as good as
any
rationale.
I have no idea if it's true because I wasn't there, but I either read that or heard that somewhere. But so.
I mean, I can get behind that. How often do people hear something and they interpret their own meaning into whatever?
Yeah.
And then sometimes the artists are coy about it and they're like, whatever you think it is what it is.
Right.
And other guys are like, it doesn't mean shit.
It's kind of like Hotel California.
Exactly.
Oh, it's about, whatever.
Exactly. Well, the reason for me, if I'm going to say it, the reason for me that this would not have been my favorite album.
Okay.
I get how groundbreaking it was. I get how much different it was than anything else you'd heard or would hear until maybe like Pet Sounds from the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
I'm going deep. I'm digging deep now. But for me, the other two that we were going to talk about tonight just had more radio appeal to me.
Agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more, they were more, this was, we're trying something new and it's going to be awesome. The other albums that came after it, whether it be Magical Mystery Tour, White Album, Let It Be, Abbey Road, they all got it right now. They said, we got it right. Now we know how we started with Sgt. Pepper. We figured it out, and now we've just applied it over and over and over again and beat you in the head with it and kicked your ass with it 6 more times. So that's why the only reason why I would have thought that, to me, it wasn't their best one, just because it's
now,
so new.
Another thing that I'd add to Sgt. Pepper is I feel like that's a listen from start to finish type of record.
Right.
Whereas there's more single type things, like you just exactly kind of beating into the ground what you said is just there's, I'd rather listen to that record from start to finish.
You have to. Yeah.
Almost,
You have to.
Except if you're my wife. The Day in Life is her favorite all-time song.
So she skips to the back.
I don't. No, she wouldn't. She probably would. She'd be like Austin Powers and put the record player or a CD on a turntable or whatever he did. But she doesn't care. She wouldn't. She'd be like on a phone or whatever. But yeah, it wouldn't be on vinyl, I don't think.
But no, I totally agree with you. I think you do have to play it because, again, they start it like a rock show.
Yeah.
Their Sgt. Pepper comes in and then they're saying, okay, here you are. You're sitting down for the rock show. We're going to get going. And then they start going and then they bring it back at the end and say, thanks for coming. We appreciate that. And they kind of sing you out with a depressing. And to me, that song's depressing as shit.
Oh, yeah.
It can be your wife's favorite song.
Well, it had to do
depressing.
with it had to do with the swirly thing at the end.
Oh,
she said her and her brother used to like lock arms and like swing around the living room, and it was just something. It's very dreamy, and you know what I'm saying. So it's a memory for her, rather than I don't think they were digging deep into the lyrics because you can definitely get bummed out. It's not a dance number. Let's face it, but
nobody ever gets emotionally involved in music, do they? Nobody ever associates a song with a feeling and then just that's it forever.
Yeah.
So half the time your favorite songs are simply because they bring you back to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, I've told you, I've told you 100 times how much I love that Supertramp Breakfast in America just because it reminds me of that trip. And I was so pumped the whole time we were in the car. We're going to go to Kaiser Lake. We're going to go camping and go swimming. Right. And this album was on was playing there the whole time. And so I just always equated that album to feeling good and being happy. You know, it was weird.
Not getting burned with a cigarette that blew back into the window.
That was a different day, but yes, that happened.
I believe it, man.
When everybody would smoke, and
They used to flick their stuff out the window.
literally, my mom was smoking. She threw her butt out the front. It literally came right back in and landed right in my lap in the back seat. And I'm sitting there, back there on fire.
Yeah, man.
It was something out of a Ben Stiller movie or something. But that's
Pretty good.
So I can get it. So Christina, like I said, we've let the cat out of the bag already. We've told everybody what your favorite album was.
Okay, well, I'm not a musical, how would I say it? I'm not like you guys. I don't play anything. I can't sing, can't carry a tune. So,
You can carry it in a beatbox.
You have 2 ears though, and you know what you like to hear.
It's true, and that's about all it comes down to is what I like to hear, because everybody's like, oh, I like the changes in this and blah 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 that. I honestly, my favorite Beatle is George Harrison.
Mm-hmm. Underrated as hell.
Underrated as hell.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the problem with that?
Yeah,
he actually finally got to shine on this album with one of my freaking favorite songs ever, Something.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I like that. And then the second, if you flip the album over, because I'm talking vinyl.
That's right.
That's how we had it. But the whole part from
Here Comes the Sun?
No. Golden Slumbers into Rolling Into Carry That Weight. That whole 15-minute it's maybe longer.
Yeah, the whole second side is just one continuous track.
It's so good. And it just flows. And even though it changes, and I hate all that stuff because you're always talking technical stuff about, it changes this and blah, 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 and the beats and the blah, blah, blah. Whatever, I don't know any of it. But I like it.
Nothing turns me on more than...
And see, when you say that, I always hate that. When you're like, I hate when the song changes so dramatically. But for some reason, I dig it on that album.
Well, they're independent songs, but it almost feels to me like they were just song fragments that they had. They said, wow, this really kicks ass, but we don't know what to do with it. Yeah. So let's just kind of find a spot where it transitions nicely into the next one. And it's just, you're right. But I think it is from Here Comes the Sun is the beginning of that second side. And then after Here Comes the Sun, then
which is
everything
a single
else.
Song. And then
and then it just kind of starts flowing, and that's a full song. All the rest of them are parts or pieces.
Yeah, and you only know that, and I only knew that until it came out on CD, because when it came out on CD, it doesn't separate the songs like it did like on the album, like on a vinyl. Yeah, it would play. It would say like 14 minutes and some seconds, and it wouldn't cut the songs. So that it's they remastered it that way when they put it on the CD. So you're right; it might be song fragments.
Well, I think another cool thing about the Beatles is they were never afraid. If something was a minute and 45 seconds and that's what it needed, that's all they did, and that was it. It's not, they don't do that. It's got to be like 3 minutes. You got to be in the chorus by 35 seconds or whatever it is. But it's something like that. There's
we got to hear the hook by this.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, and it's like
and some of their songs didn't even have hooks.
Mm-hmm.
I found very few that didn't have hooks. I thought they were amazing.
It was like a continuous hook.
Yeah.
So like even their non-hooks were hooks. It was kind of weird,
but just as a track listing for those of you who might not know it, the first song Come Together starts at Come Together, then Something, the song Christina's talking about. I think personally, it's the best Beatles song that there is. And honestly, there have been a lot of polls. I'm a sucker for a list. You give me a list, it's like a gnome with a knot. I will sit there and I'll watch the whole damn thing. If it takes the entire day to give me the top 100 dog food brands, I will watch the whole stinking thing. It's sad.
That's an accurate statement, people.
But they're talking about love songs, the top 100 love songs, whatever, and Something is consistently up there. I think Eric Clapton said it was the greatest song he's ever heard or something ridiculous like that. But it's damn good.
It was about what's her face?
About the same woman he was in love with.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I agree with you about George Harrison. And George Harrison, although he did have some of the best songs on some of the other albums. Taxman was an incredible song to me. Here Comes the Sun, obviously was on this album as well. But there were a couple of other songs that he had done that were amazing. And unfortunately, you saw how good he was after the fact, because when the band broke up and he was able to bring his own album out, All Things Must Pass. It was amazing.
Yep.
That album was incredible. I don't know if you've heard All Things Must Pass.
Yeah.
Come on.
I've heard it. I probably even have it.
I had it. I have it.
Vinyl. I probably
have
do.
it. We own it.
Yeah, I have it. I mean, it is just incredible. But so again, Maxwell Silver Hammer, just kind of a fun song. They always have a couple of those.
Sorta. Is it about a serial killer?
It could be. I guess it's all a matter of how you interpret it. Again,
No, it's about LSD. I have no idea.
No.
Kidding.
it could be
All
about
Beatles songs are about drugs.
Yeah,
aren't they?
I mean, it
No,
could be
don't.
about something you take with a spoon, right? Come on, came down upon his head. I don't know. I'm just reading into it now.
Now I'm going to
Made
have to go read the
that
lyrics.
She was dead.
Yeah, that's right. It could be a serial killer. I don't know.
I don't know. When I was a kid, I remember listening to that one in the car, and we would always, my sister and I would scream, bang, bang.
They did.
We'd
They
just
put
freak
that
out.
song in Sgt. Pepper's, that wonderful movie they made.
Yes. Oh,
Was it Steve
Seen
Martin?
that so many
Steve Martin in
times.
that? Wasn't he like a wacky dentist or something?
Oh,
Do you remember?
well, he was the wacky dentist in Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I can't.
He was the
say
guy
I've
who just
seen it.
loved giving you pain in Little Shop of Horrors.
The only
Steve Martin.
And a little weird side note is, I think one of the best Beatles covers ever, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Got to Get You Into My Life. Love. I don't know about
Well-
you guys, but man, it's amazing.
Well, I mean, it's a great song anyway. And then you actually put
yeah.
another band in there that specializes in that horn sound. And
Yeah.
yeah.
okay.
I mean, it's an incredible song.
And
I love it.
Aerosmith did good on
Come Together.
Come Together. They did.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's just not that much different. I
No,
mean,
it's almost a note-for-note remake.
Yeah, yeah.
It really is. They just basically remade it completely, said, nothing's broken here, let's just remake it.
Yep.
It'll be perfect. It was, other than I like Lennon's voice on it better than Steven Tyler's. Just me.
No, I agree. I just pointing out that. Anybody else have a favorite? Not that we're talking about this, but Beatles cover.
Favorite Beatles cover?
Yeah.
This cover.
I don't know. I don't find many bands that do it better.
No. It's not that they do it. They would never. No one could ever do it better than the Beatles. But
Right.
just something that you're like, oh, they did something cool to it, or a twist, or just did a good job with it. No,
Not me.
you know me. I'm
No.
Mr. This shot into my mind. I'm going to say it. That type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, if you think of it while we're talking about it,
So
shoot it out.
that's right. So Octopus's Garden. Again, they threw Ringo a bone.
They
I think
always do.
that's the weakest song ever. I'm sorry. I think that's Octopus's
I don't-
Garden to me is so bad.
It is. I don't love Yellow Submarine either.
I know,
Nope.
and that's why it's such a strong statement that it's the worst one, because I'm even taking that into account.
What's
Okay,
his
okay.
aquatic obsession?
I don't know.
Right?
Well, I
Is it
mean,
just me? He likes the water. It's weird.
it is odd. It is odd. But then we get I Want You, She's So Heavy,
Oh.
and then we get into the second
And
side.
She's So Heavy is our daughter's favorite song,
That's
by
an
the way.
amazing
Is it?
song.
Yeah.
She's right.
Yep.
Um,
She just loves how it makes her feel.
You guys ever watch Across the Universe?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Should-
Yes, we have.
I haven't seen that.
You should just
You
check
might have
it out.
seen it.
Did I watch it with her?
You might have. I didn't. I haven't
we
seen it.
watched
It's
it.
kind of crazy.
We've
I
seen
don't know.
that. We saw that one with the It wasn't the one with the Indian guy who sings acoustic.
No, that's yesterday.
That's yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the one
did
we
you guys
saw.
like that?
Yeah, I liked it all right.
I thought it was.
I think it would be honestly, I think it would be a really interesting question. Would those things translate, especially if they weren't doing them? Because it's just a guy doing it on an acoustic guitar,
Yeah, a lot of it.
or he couldn't even remember. He
first.
couldn't remember really everything about it, so he was doing them to the best of his ability.
Right.
I think it's a fascinating idea to me. It was better an idea to me.
No, I
than
love the
anything
idea.
else.
The only part that I didn't love is the bus part. That like how it happened. I thought that was a little
Yeah.
weird, but I think they could have come up with something a little bit more interesting. But whatever. I mean,
It was hokey. They had to get into the hook. They had to get
Yeah,
into
yeah.
the story, and the story
Right.
was he doesn't remember anything, but nobody else remembers the Beatles, and somehow he's making.
Well, a few people did.
That's right. That's right. Only a few. I don't know what the hell happened to them.
Well,
Those are the sequels.
those were
The
the-
sequel is when
Yeah,
the
maybe
old
so.
woman, she got struck by lightning at the same time, and that's why she remembers the Beatles. It's a great idea, though. I mean,
no, I agree.
would it translate if nobody knew them and you just brought it back out again? Would it be the same? Or would music now be so much different because they never existed? That's the other,
And I think it would
Now
be.
that's deep. That's the deep end of the pool. Right
you know,
there.
how many bands are essentially Beatle cover bands? Oasis is a Beatle cover band.
All of them.
You know, they try hard to sound just like the Beatles. Tears for Fears tried really hard, and especially some of the later stuff. That one song, "Sowing the Seeds of Love," was a Beatles cover.
Jellyfish.
I mean, you could go down the list of every A through Z.
10cc, Supertramp, probably a lot of them. But anyway,
But what would that music be like if they weren't there to light the match?
who knows?
We'd still be picking little country music.
No.
Yeehaw!
We still had
Bluegrass
Elvis
would be on the
Presley.
top. In the top.
Elvis Presley brought some rock and roll.
True.
We got Chuck Berry.
Elvis. I think I'm
There
correct
was-
in saying this. Though Elvis never wrote a song in his life,
True.
He did not.
True.
He did not. But
but he was Elvis.
Yeah.
no. So to the point where your wife was making out how her favorite song was
A Day in the Life.
Day in the Life. To me, on this album, it's because, and it's kind of the. It's not. I guess you were talking about the kind of the acoustics of
Yeah, the dreamy
that.
sequence. It's
To
swirly,
me,
and that's
that
what
is because the whole thing. But they do it with their mouths. They do it with their voices and the harmonies of it. And the first time you hear that when you were a kid, again with your headphones on, and you're laying in bed and it's the middle of the night and you're not supposed to be awake, and you're laying there listening, so you had to have the headphones, and you hear that, and it just gets in there, and you're like, wow, how many voices are singing on this to make that sound that beautiful. And it's just the feel of it is so nice, and that weird, I don't know what that is or what that's called. There's, Rick Beato will tell me what it is, but I don't, that little
You're talking about
harpsichord,
the
little
instrument?
harpsichord
Oh, yeah,
part at the beginning.
arpeggio.
Yeah. So, I mean, that just all worked for me.
Yeah.
But, and then it goes to the rest of the 12-minute. You Never Give Me Your Money, Sun King, Mean Mr. Mustard, Polythene Pam, She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, Golden Slumbers, The End, Carry That Weight, and then Her Majesty at the very end of it. Can't go wrong. My daughter has it in her room right now. She's 17 years old.
Yeah. And you bought her that for Christmas, and she said, "It's weird. I never had heard the whole album. I had heard songs here and there from us, obviously, but she had never heard all of Abbey Road." Well, honestly, she has heard all of Abbey Road because I've played it in the car and all this stuff, but she was little. So she's like, "Yeah, that's the first time I heard it." She goes, "It's such a good album. It's so great." And she goes, "Did you play that while I was like in utero?" Because when I heard it, it was just, there was something about it. Like, I have heard it like from so long ago. And I was like, that is so funny she would say that, because that is the album that I would put the headphones on my belly at night, every night. And I played her Abbey Road.
Well, there you go.
And that's so weird that she said that. We were in the car talking about it on the way home. But yeah. And so I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I did actually. I played the kids Beatles, and I played the kids, well, they were all pushing the classical music. Play the belly classical music. And I was
we did a little bit of that.
A little bit, but I was like, I really think they should get a Beatles education.
I don't think there's a whole lot of difference. I honestly don't think there's a whole lot of difference between Beethoven and Abbey Road.
I lined them all up. I played all the Beatles albums for those kids.
It's orchestrated for sure, all of it.
Yeah, the last 6-7 albums, the orchestration in those albums was amazing.
Yeah,
Incredible.
whether they did it with their voices or with orchestras. I mean, it was to your point, what you were saying about the vocal track.
Right.
Didn't matter what they were orchestrating on; it was always orchestrated in one way or another.
Because you did have those songs where it was all orchestration.
Yeah.
It was all instruments and just random things getting thrown in all over the place. And then you had that song, which was really just a harpsichord and them singing. Mm-hmm. And it was so simple and so effective. It was amazing. Then you had Day in a Life, which was all instrumentation. Mm-hmm. So,
and completely unrelated, not on any of the albums we're talking about, but my other favorite song would be Blackbird, and that's got it's just pretty much vocals.
Blackbird's on the White Album, right?
Yeah,
the White Album.
That's correct.
I think Blackbird.
I mean, that is like
the White Album has
second favorite
Blackbird
song.
and Julia and oh my God, I have to pull them
Revolution.
all out. Revolution.
I love Revolution. That's one of my
Helter
favorites.
Skelter, because I had to. Why Don't We Do It in the Road? I think is also
Back in the USSR.
Happiness Is a Warm Gun. I mean, that song is great. I mean, again,
I know it's good too.
it's like how do you pull them out?
I wonder if the Beatles ever went, oh, that's, just had any songs that they just threw to the side. It seems like they just wrote hits and just, you know what I
Every
mean?
time.
They had a couple they threw to the side, but then Ringo would sing them. So they had
Ringo, you got a solo album coming or something?
they had to get somebody else,
Right.
throw him a bone. Come on.
Kind of like Kiss did with Peter Criss.
Right. And then suddenly it's their biggest hit. And so then he had this weird thought in his brain that I made this band.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I was the whole reason this band was good.
Right.
did not know that.
Yeah. Beth,
That's right.
Which
That-
was
that-
originally called Beck, by the way.
Oh,
And their producer was
Right.
like, Beck? No, it needs to be Beth.
What silliness is this?
Yeah. But he didn't. There are rumors where he didn't write any of it. He wrote a little bit of it. Of course, he says he wrote all of it, but there was another guy that pretty much everybody says wrote it. So whatever. I wasn't there again, but
I wasn't there.
Well, if
Not
we're
to
just
spread rumors.
if we're just talking my favorite Beatles song,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it isn't anything on any of these three albums.
Oh,
quite honestly.
it's not. What is it?
My favorite Beatles song may be "In My Life."
Really?
I mean, I think that's a perfect song. I don't know that I've ever heard a song to me that's more perfect than that. But
it's great.
It's a good
or Here,
sweet-
There, and Everywhere.
Both songs played at our wedding.
Yes, that Here, There, and Everywhere was our wedding song.
Was
It-
our
it
wedding
was
dance,
our
and
wedding
then
dance
we
song.
did In My Life for the group dance,
Right.
or for the whatever that's called. When
Just
Yeah,
the
the
message
party, the
of
wedding
it,
party.
again,
Yeah.
the simplicity of it, and the message to it, and the lyrics that were on there. Man, it just boom! It hits right where.
It's hard to pick a favorite Beatles
Yeah.
song.
It
I mean,
is.
it could be like tomorrow I'll pick a different one, and
it's,
That's true.
it's kind of
That is
it's kind of
true.
my mood. It's like, oh well,
It
today
is
it's this
definitely
one.
about the mood.
Or what?
And
what-
they've
what
got
you're
a
listening
song for
to.
every mood.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, for a while, I was obsessed with Dig a Pony. I was obsessed
Wow.
with Dig a Pony
Hey.
because of that. All I want is, and then they just started screaming it, and then they come in. But everything's got to be just like you want it to be. I love that lyric.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lyric gets you. I loved that lyric. All I want is you, and everything has got to be just like you want it to be. That obviously they sang it differently,
Right.
but that's the lyric. And I was like, hell yeah, that just makes sense to me. Again, it does. Just like George Harrison and that, and All Things Must Pass. What was that song? It's Let Me In Here. The lyric is all I have is yours and all you see is mine.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
basically he's saying everything is yours. I love that.
He must have been going through a divorce or something.
It was probably about Patty Boyd. They were all about Patty Boyd. Every song ever that you loved in the 70s, 80s was made by Patty
About
Boyd.
her, yeah.
Yeah.
Lauren's like, I want to have that energy.
Right?
I want all these men to want to write songs about me.
That is some severe dragon energy right there.
She wasn't even that cute.
I
I mean, she's okay, but she's not like, wow, like all the songs that are
Not
written
everything's
about her.
about looks.
I get that, I know, but
and it's not like either one of those guys was faithful to her. So it wasn't
true,
just
it's
about, oh my
true.
God, I'm so obsessed with you. They weren't. They were both all over the place. I mean, they were,
The DNA was being spread.
yeah, yeah. But like I
Can you
said, that
imagine how many possible? I bet they don't do that. What is that? 23andMe? Is that what it's called? What's the
Yeah,
DNA?
yeah, that's
Is that,
it.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
The Beatles are like, no.
Well,
we'll pass.
funny you should say that because Paul McCartney had a couple of kids that he claimed. He claimed them. He's on the birth certificate. And one was a girl in Germany from the early '60s. When they were still wearing leather jackets and greasing their hair. And he claimed her. He was paying for her. The girl, he didn't have anything to do with her, but the girl turned 18, and so then she wanted to, for whatever reason, she wanted to have a paternity test, just to confirm it. And they had a paternity test, and it came back negative that he was not her father, and the mother lost her shit. I mean, she went crazy.
Dumb.
That was also one of the factors that led into people saying that was an imposter, and she went nuts saying the guy who gave his DNA was not Paul McCartney. It was not the guy. He signed the way he signs his hand. He
I
signed it
gotcha.
right-handed when Paul was left-handed. The DNA didn't match, and the other kid, the second kid, DNA doesn't match. So it was just
the second kid too.
Yeah, both
I
of them.
didn't
Both of
know
them
they
have
did
had
the I knew about the girl in Germany.
Yeah, they don't have Paul McCartney DNA, and they thought for sure they did. But yeah, I agree with you. There's probably
What pressure would be to be like those guys' kids, man. I mean, I guess we could. Well, we can't because he's not here. But Julian Lennon.
Yeah. You can ask old
yeah.
Julian Lennon.
It's funny. I was in Publix last night, and it's much too late.
I love that song.
No, it is. It's a great
Absolutely.
song. No, I agree.
What was the other one? He had two of them, didn't he?
Sitting on a pebble by the river.
Yeah.
Valat. That's what it's called. Mm-hmm.
What was the kid he had with Oko?
Sean.
I feel like he loved that kid more.
He did. Well,
I mean,
I think he had to.
by all accounts
He didn't
that
have
I've
a choice.
by all accounts that I heard, John Lennon was not a really nice guy. He was not a great guy, and he didn't treat his ladies well, and he didn't treat his kids well. You know, he was well loved, but
Yeah.
you know,
Didn't love well.
well, once because he left that, you know, the mother of Julian.
I gotta go. I just coined a bumper sticker.
Yeah,
I
right.
gotta go make something real quick.
I gotta go to Mike's house.
You gotta
We got some vinyl going.
get the print machine up, fired up,
Gotta go to, what is it? Their G&D Creations?
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't disagree. I think that they could probably have just hundreds of children all over the damn place.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So my favorite album, I let it out of the bag a long time ago. And again, if it was just me and you, I probably would have said Abbey Road also. Since it's not me and you, and there's three of us, I'm gonna put one in. And again, I could have. I feel pretty confident. I could have said Let It Be. I could have said White Album. I could have said Revolver. I mean,
I like
Revolver is an
Revolver.
incredible
A
album.
lot of people
Yeah.
love Revolver.
Oh my
like
God.
art, like a lot of musicians and stuff.
Mhm.
They'll cite that one as their favorite.
No, it's excellent. I mean,
Yeah.
I even like Help. Quite honestly, I mean, I think Help.
What do
is-
you mean you even like Help is brilliant?
Hey,
Why would you say I even like that little thing called Help?
I even like that piece of shit.
Yeah.
Help. Yeah.
I love Help. That's a great song.
All the harmonies in that song are incredible, and the way it
Yeah.
just builds. I mean, it's no.
I
I
think
love
you
Help
found your
also.
opening tag if you put an opening.
What
You know, how
Help?
usually when you do these podcasts,
Uh-huh.
you put a little opening. There's your.
That was it. I
That
even
was
like Help.
I even like that thing. Help.
I even like that piece of trash. Help. That throwaway.
That's right.
No.
There was their throwaway you were looking for.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. But so I went with Magical Mystery Tour because I think again I could sell it. I can sell it. You know, it's to me the Magical Mystery Tour, Fool on the Hill, I Am the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man.
Penny Lane.
Penny Lane, maybe my favorite.
All You Need Is Love.
That's a good one.
I mean, just those. I didn't even
so
tell.
good.
I didn't
And
even,
All You Need Is Love is so prevalent. Like, it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's on shirts, T-shirts,
Commercials.
It's still
Think
to
of
this
all the
day, yeah.
commercials that song's been in.
Yeah. That one is,
It's just a theme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a phrase. It's just
they coined
you
their
can't
own
get away.
phrase.
You can't get away from it.
yeah, I mean, I didn't even mention all of the songs on the album. I didn't think I need to. I
You
mean,
don't.
just from that point where I said, I Am the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, which is, again, incredible. Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man, All You Need Is Love. Those six, I just like, well, okay, I'll put these six up against your six at any time.
Yep.
I mean, there's, and again, from a radio today, I'll turn on the radio today. If I turn on the radio today, I won't hear She Came In Through the Bathroom Window. I won't.
No.
I won't hear Carry That Weight. I won't hear Her Majesty. I may hear something, but I will definitely hear Penny Lane. I'll still hear Hello Goodbye. I'll still hear I'm the Walrus. I'll still hear Strawberry Fields. I'll still hear All You Need Is Love. You still hear them 45, 50 years later, or however long it's been.
Yep.
So that to me was definitely some criteria.
Remember when we lived in Ohio and that's when we first got together and we would drive down to your mom's house in Cincinnati, which was like, like an hour and a half
And
away.
they had breakfast with the Beatles
Breakfast
the whole way.
with the Beatles the
Yeah.
whole way. That was always so fun. I don't know why. I just thought of that.
No,
Because we're talking about the Beatles.
I know, but I'm just...
it could be.
I don't know.
Apropos, I think
The breakfast with the Beatles, I remember
that's pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah, we
They
never.
don't have anything like that here.
No. You know, I feel sad for the day when we don't, or when we lose sight of it and we don't have that anymore. It slowly it starts to get there.
Well, the
You
weird
know?
thing is I don't know about you guys, but I don't really listen to the radio, like terrestrial radio. I don't.
Right.
Same.
I mean, I just don't.
I mean, a little bit when the kids are in the car, but...
Well, yeah, you come across it here and there, but if I'm in the car, I'm not listening.
Yeah, no, not at all.
To that,
I'm listening to my Pandora mix.
listening to Pete's podcast.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
That's right.
I do that a lot in the car. I'm listening to, see what you guys are talking about.
He's your one U.S. fan.
And every once in a while, I'll be on there and be like, hey, that's weird. Sometimes I'll listen to the front of it and I won't even know I'm on it. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I listened to the one about the Ouija board the other night. I was like, wow, that's...
I know, that one with all three of us. I totally forgot we did that one. And I listened to it the other day. I was like, whoa, we did this one?
Yeah, it was a few months ago, and we brought it. Things are on a we do a weekly podcast. You got things stacked up, and then they release, and I like that because I don't remember. You wouldn't remember what we said, and
it's hilarious. Sometimes I'll be laughing because I don't remember what I like. There'll be little parts that I didn't remember we talked about. I was like, wow, that was pretty interesting or funny or whatever.
Why did I say that?
I do that the whole time, but it's fine. That's just the way I'm self-loathing. That type of.
Well, I try to cut a little bit here and there to make us look and sound more intelligent than we are, if possible.
Don't ever let me know what you cut out. Is gonna.
Well, I don't think I remember. I don't remember after a day or two what's gone. It's just gone. I no longer think of it.
Send it to the litter box.
Yeah, there's definitely some production that goes on.
Yeah.
So, but those are the three albums that we have. I mean, that's what we each put up together. I think I couldn't disagree with any of you if you all said that. I would listen to any of them.
I agree.
If I walk into a room and they're playing, I'll play the whole damn album, either one. Yeah. But Come Together, Let It Be, or White Album, I would do the same thing. I would listen to all the way through. Well, I'd listen to all of them. I had them all.
So if you had a second, how would you okay, just give me your top three.
Top three albums or top three songs?
Top three albums.
Top three albums would be, I think it would be Come Together would be my, no, I keep saying Come Together. Abbey Road would be probably my first. And then Magical Mystery Tour would be my second. And then, man, it's either Revolver or the White Album for me. Yeah. Those three, I think. What about you?
The same.
Any difference? No?
No, same. Although, no, I might put Sgt. Pepper in there instead of Magical Mystery Tour. Just because, I don't know, it reminds me of my childhood.
Oh, see?
Bingo. That's the only reason that I really picked that one. It was your same thing as your Breakfast in America. It's just the memory, really. Not that I think it's better than any of the other records that we're talking about, because it's not. They just, some bands do this. The Beatles just went.
Yeah.
And if you couldn't see what I just did, I just drew a line at the very top of a graph all the way across.
That's right. Well, that's what they saw because you were on camera. So
you saw it here.
That's right. You went straight up to the top and stayed there.
Stayed there. Yep.
You really don't see that. You don't see bands that they come in. You'll see. And I threw Pearl Jam under the bus last time we had one of these discussions. And actually, I got feedback on that. I was like, man, why are you hating on Pearl Jam? But I think it's pretty clear Pearl Jam crested with that first album. And then from that point on, they had peaks of okayness, but they were on their way down the whole way. And that happens a lot.
You happen to be talking to a guy that they're not my jam. The Pearl is not my jam. So
Same.
No, I have no problem agreeing with 10 was the best stuff. And I really only...
But that happens a lot because a lot of those bands, they've been working at it for 5-10 years. They've got 10 fucking killer songs. Yep. That's, they come out and boom. And I think, so every time we do this exercise,
right?
In the first two times we did it, both times your favorite album was the first album, both times. Yep. You're just like, oh, that first album changed my life and, nothing else. And so to you, nothing else touched the first album.
Yep.
So it happens a lot, though.
It's all where you are,
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
No, I agree. It absolutely happens a lot.
That was not the case.
Well, that's true. The Beatles was not the case.
That's right.
Well, because
I was too young.
Well, because they were in sync. The first five albums. They were Backstreet Boys, the first 5 albums, and then they became.
I liked that stuff. I mean, it was fun and stuff, but it wasn't
it's ear candy for sure.
Yeah.
And then they became something much more.
Yeah.
After that, but you're right. It never. I can't think of another band that it did like that.
Unbelievable.
I don't know. Can you think of another band? Well, one, you don't have a whole lot of other bands that had that
So
longevity.
Many, yeah.
I think-
Well, it's not that they had longevity. They had so many albums.
Right.
They were only 8
I guess that's what I
years.
mean by longevity. I mean, a lot of bands don't have 12 albums.
Yeah.
All right, let's flip the coin here for a second. Let's say the Beatles never existed, or just take them out of the equation. Either way you want to look at it. I think all three of us kind of agree that maybe the Beatles, if there is a best band ever, that they're probably it. They did. Okay,
I agree.
Let's take the Beatles out.
Now, who's my best band ever?
Who's the best band now?
Oh, God.
Who's the best band now, or
No.
just ever
I
without
mean,
the Beatles?
Who's in lieu of the Beatles?
Okay.
Who takes their place in your mind?
Okay,
And again, there's
The Eagles.
oh damn
Oh.
nice.
that was a good pull. that was,
I was ready for that.
she seems like, oh,
No.
Because it just came to me. I was like, yes,
Oh
there's
my
so many songs.
Gosh,
Yes.
they're so good.
that's a great pull. I mean,
yeah.
it's hard to.
They replaced for me. And I don't necessarily know that they're all very influenced by the Beatles. Not really, because they came more from like a country standpoint. So it's kind of sort of real different from the
I would
Beatles.
contend though that
Very different, but
they
probably
Oh, I'm sure they
probably
did
still did.
later.
that once
They
Joe
probably still
Walsh
did.
hit the scene,
True.
that Joe Walsh was influenced by the Beatles, and then
I bet the other guys were too.
Sure.
Sometimes it doesn't come through.
they weren't that much after.
Yeah.
I mean, they were
Yeah.
only 5 years after the Beatles broke up.
No, even
Was it earlier than that?
Yeah.
It
Oh
was-
yeah.
I think I thought that first one was 75, but it may have
No,
been
it's early- it's
73,
earlier.
something like that.
They were Linda Ronstadt's back. You
That's
know
right.
that.
Yes,
You guys watched
yes,
that. Come on.
I've watched that 3-hour.
Jackson Brown.
We've
the whole
watched that
deal, yeah.
twice.
Yes, we have.
Me too.
I love it. It's
I'd probably
good.
watch it again.
I would watch it right now.
I would just go over the scene we talked
Yeah.
about at our last gig. We were talking about one of our gigs where they're just all sitting in a circle singing.
Singing Seven Bridges Road,
Right?
It's just like, really?
just crushing Seven
Really?
Bridges Road.
Like, where are those people right
There's
now?
there's
Who
no
exists?
timing issue. There's no pitch issue. There's
No.
no anything. It's just like,
Yeah, their harmonies.
it's just
were-
perfect.
Yeah, they knew their part, and they
Yep.
did their. But they're another band that I personally think got better as time went on. I do think that they, maybe the
their
Long
style
Run
changed
wasn't
a
their
little bit.
best album,
I like it.
but it was
See, I
damn
like it
good.
too.
It was really good.
Yeah,
No.
see, I'm more of a, like you're saying, I do like the Hotel California,
Mhm.
the Long Run, that time frame. Not that
Once
the
Joe
early-
Walsh hit
not
the
early-
scene,
yeah, not that the earlier stuff. It was just more country-ish.
right?
Not that I don't like it, but for me, man, they just
Well, they changed Pandora categories, right? They did. They changed. They went from light rock 70s. They went from America, America and Seals and Crofts to a rock band.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
weird. They go from the light rock 70s, peaceful, easy feeling, to Life in the Fast Lane.
did this podcast just change lanes like totally?
Well,
We
you
just-
totally
we're on the
changed.
Eagles
Yeah.
now.
You posed.
You totally
you posed
No,
the
I did.
question.
I
You
did.
did, yeah. So what do you guys got?
Good God,
It's your fault.
You screwed us. Absolutely.
There's got to be something.
No, there
else.
are. There are. I mean, the answer that I would give, but it's not for me, would be the Rolling Stones.
Oh.
It's not my
Yeah.
personal answer, but
Well,
I think.
but you asked us what would be my favorite.
All right,
so
you
what
go
would be
first.
your
and let me think
favorite?
some more.
Good Lord.
No, you're right.
If that's not your
I'm
favorite,
just
you
t-
shouldn't say
it's
it.
not. You're right.
Wait, were you
That's
going to say the
wrong
Rolling
thing to do.
Stones?
No. The Rolling Stones were never.
If you have one, go ahead. So let me think for a minute. If you don't,
The Rolling Stones, it was one of those things where you were a Beatles fan or you were a Rolling Stones fan. It seemed weird like that, right? It's like
Yeah.
either you drank Coke or you drank Pepsi.
No way.
What was
It did
what was the
feel that
Twilight
way.
thing? The team.
Oh, Team Edward and Team
yeah.
Jacob.
There
Right.
you go. See.
Yeah, but so it did feel like that. It felt like
Yeah.
those two streams, they don't cross those streams, right? Something bad
We
would
cross
happen.
those streams in our house all the time.
Dang, man. I
Um,
posed a question that I can't answer, and then Christina answered it and nailed it.
She did come out hard with it.
Yeah, that's it.
That was pretty good. That was impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have her on the podcast anymore
Yeah, she's out.
because she's now wah wah wah. She just
You just killed.
I'll put that sound effect in post production. But she just
was
smashed me.
That was a great pull.
I went through phases. I go through a lot of phases. And I went through phases where ELO was my favorite band ever. And I know you don't necessarily like
They're
ELO
not
either.
my favorite, but that's I get it. I get it though.
But to me, it's all a derivative of the Beatles. To me, all of that was a derivative.
Sure.
So it's hard to say. It's like that Yesterday argument again. If the
Mm-hmm.
Beatles weren't around, would ELO be making that kind of music? I don't know because it just seems like a derivative of the Beatles.
I think so too.
So I don't think the Eagles were really
No.
a derivative.
I don't. They had a really heavy country influence in the beginning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They came from a different place.
All right, I'll go Queen. How about that?
Oh.
Queen, huh?
Queen.
I'll go Queen.
I didn't feel like Queen was consistently
I don't
great.
either, but they had a lot of great stuff.
They had a lot of hits. They
Had
did
a lot.
have. Well,
They took a lot of chances too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everybody's sick and tired, including myself, of Bohemian Rhapsody, but it's a piece of art.
is.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
is absolutely.
if you are,
He was a musical genius.
if you hate on that, you're just a hater. If you were trying to say for some reason, oh, I can't stand that song, you're just a hater. I mean,
So yeah, so I'll go Queen. I don't, just that's what I can think of right
Yeah.
now. I mean, they did a lot of great stuff. They did a lot of stuff that wasn't so great, but that's okay. I'll go with Queen.
yeah, no, I guess you're right though. I think once you used or said
The Eagles.
The
She
Eagles.
just screwed us, man. Just
that really did, because I think you hit it. I think they were the other, which is weird, right? Because people don't put them on that pedestal. People do not understand how popular.
Well, Pete, you say that though, but
How popular are you
Their
kidding?
greatest hits is like one of the best.
but that's what I'm. That was the
ever.
point I was getting to.
Oh, okay.
That was
Yeah.
exactly the point I was getting to. Is that people don't. When people say who's the best band of all time, they'll say the Beatles, they'll say the
Yeah.
Rolling Stones, they'll say Led Zeppelin, they'll say
true.
all these other bands.
You
They'll go
too. You-
they'll go
you too
9
gets
bands
a
deep
lot.
before they get to
there, yeah.
the Eagles, and none of them have outsold the Eagles. None
Eagles
of them.
are-
I mean, they're incredible.
They're badass.
I mean, they'll go.
That won't be said from me.
Yeah,
Another band that's
Probably one of my favorite.
one of
bands.
the greatest selling is AC/DC, believe it or not.
Yep, they really are. And they outsold the Beatles, or outsold.
Yeah, Back
the
in Black's
Eagles.
one of the, it's up there. It's
Mhm.
and another band that would be huge, not for me, but Pink Floyd for a lot of people. A lot of people love Pink
My
Floyd.
sister.
Makes me want to jump off a bridge somewhere,
just
but
had this.
it's just way too. Ugh.
My thing just lit up.
you just got to be in a weird headspace to listen to it. To me, you got to be ready to.
Or working, according to my sister. She says perfect
yeah.
work music. Remember?
So
Yeah.
who are you going with, Pete? We gotta.
Oh, did we
We have
not?
to- no.
Well, you said kind of ELO, but kind of
Well,
not.
we have
so
to nail you down.
you can stay there, but
Well,
you can do this.
yeah, right. It's really difficult.
it is.
Because so maybe, well, then I start getting into stuff like,
Well, could you go single artist, or does it have to be band?
I'm just thinking of anything that was really impactful to me, and I can't.
This is kind of a personal.
Yeah, I just
But
other
I'm
than
just saying, like,
because certain bands popped for a little bit. They would pop, one album would pop. Pearl Jam 10 popped. Alice in Chains Dirt popped. Super Unknown from Soundgarden popped. The first 3 or 4 albums from Ozzy Osbourne. Oh my God. Out of the Cellar. All those that hair 80s stuff, because that was where I was.
Right.
At that age when music was really formative. It was Rat and Kiss and Def Leppard and Van Halen and
but I don't think that stuff holds.
Exactly,
I
that's what
don't
I'm saying.
think
So if you're
kids
thinking-
to use that as an influence today, but you'll still hear young artists say the Beatles.
yes, I agree.
Yeah. Or you'll even hear young artists say the Eagles just strictly for their harmonies, because you don't get that nowadays. Their
But you
harmonies
say
are all
that their vocals are so great, but if you ever listen to their guitar parts, holy crap, man!
Yeah.
Like
Even
this
before
guy's-
Joe Walsh came
this
in.
guy's doing this, and this guy, and just little things. They're just peppering in guitar, and it's really amazing. I know you say,
Yeah, I don't
They-
I don't hear it.
but if you put on a set of headphones tonight and listen to songs like "Life in the
Life in the
Fast
Fast
Lane,"
Lane. Yeah.
and any of it though, I mean, it's just amazing. I don't know.
There are 4 or 5 guitar parts in Life in the Fast Lane. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and it's
just
crazy. It's just like,
it's impressive.
yeah.
I'm
it
a
really-
lyrics girl.
And Hotel California, even.
Yeah.
You got one guy just going, in the verses. That's all he's doing with a wah pedal.
And then just them talking, Don Felder and Joe Walsh just talking to each other back and forth.
Yeah, when they're on
at the end of
stage,
that.
yeah.
Well, just at the end of that song,
Yep.
just back and forth. Felder did his part, then
Yeah, it's
he
call and
comes-
response. But
yeah,
I was
it's
talking.
exactly right.
Do you remember seeing the video of them playing, and they're actually like talking to each other
Yeah.
while they're. That's what I thought you were talking about.
No, I mean, but they're just having a conversation through the music.
That too.
I love when I see things like that. If you've ever get a chance, there's what was it called? Storytellers?
Yeah, it was storytelling.
It was storytellers. And what they did was they would take a rock guy and a country guy and they would kind of mix them together.
Yeah.
They did Keith Urban and John Mayer.
That was amazing.
Watch that
I think
episode.
I've seen that one.
Oh my God. Because Keith Urban is ridiculous on a guitar. He's ridiculous on a guitar. We all know John Mayer is.
Yep.
But I was not expecting Keith Urban's
amazing.
to smash it like he did.
I wasn't either. I was like, whoa.
And it was incredible because they were just.
But Keith Urban's also an amazing vocalist.
Yeah, they were just grinding on each other.
Which I can't say for
John
Mr. Mayer.
Well, he's got a distinct.
He's got his thing.
Yeah,
he's got his, I'm not hating on him, but his voice isn't my favorite one. But that's okay.
Half
he can write songs, so
yeah. Half the problem is just having a sound. You know,
that's
have
true.
a sound. It's distinct. He comes on the radio. You know, it's him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know it's him.
It's like Geddy Lee.
Yeah, it's not one of these. There's no doubt. There's not like one of these young girls that you have nowadays. They all sound the same. I have no idea who's singing what.
I love it. We're in the car every time. Lauren, is this Halsey? No.
Yeah, it could
Lauren,
be.
is this Halsey?
Yeah.
No.
Every one of them
Dad,
could be.
it's not Halsey.
Well,
And they're all doing this. Where do you think that all? I guess it all stemmed from probably way back, but I'm thinking maybe Mariah Carey started that.
I don't know. They're so super affected nowadays.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I'm just talking about the way they sing and the way they have to do the runs all the time
runs
and
scooping the notes.
I mean, Christina Aguilera is definitely a disciple of Mariah Carey,
Right.
But it probably goes back way further than that. But
not really.
Well, no, yeah. Well, you got Aretha.
She didn't do that. Like she didn't do that the way that Mariah Carey did, but it just got
True.
obscene.
Whitney?
Whitney did it some.
Yeah, she was.
She did it
she had the
later.
ability to
Yeah.
do it for sure. But
you listen to her early stuff.
Yeah, her early
that
stuff,
stuff
she
she wasn't
didn't do
doing that.
No.
She was just blowing you away with the songs were really good.
Yeah.
It wasn't let me get my whistle tone going.
Mariah Carey would just write a chorus and just wank over the top of it the whole song, and it was just like
That's why
wow.
her voice is shot.
But I tell you what I love about it.
She's
She has
amazing?
a Mariah Carey sound.
She's
And those
amazing.
you talk about the guitar parts and 5 different guitars. She'll have 6 different vocal parts going all at the same time. And one of them's doing a round, and one of them's doing something
She's
high.
brilliant, man.
It's incredible. If you listen to I know you hate Fantasy or you hate that
No,
song.
that's my favorite one.
Oh my God. So you hear them going
I'm sorry.
going at it.
Yeah, that is
Fantasy
right?
at the end of Fantasy, and they just keep on going.
That was a great
No, it's
album.
Always Be My Baby. That's the one.
That
That's my
too.
favorite
Same one.
Yeah, it's the
Well,
same.
it's on the same album.
Same song, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
it kind of
does the same thing, but it's awesome. I love it. So, but yeah, I think they started there, and then Christina Aguilera went ridiculous with it.
Yeah.
But now they're all doing Halsey's not doing that.
No.
Now they're doing the I'm brooding and
See,
moody.
I guess I'm not
and everything's
as
like
familiar.
Yeah, everything's all these whisper tones.
Yeah, it's whisper and weird sounding.
It's a lot of auto-tune, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the death of music right there.
Very
Auto-tune is the
very
death of
electronic.
music.
Well, we thought that too when electronic music first came out. Although, like I said, I played some for Lauren the other night, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is so great!" I played her Prodigy.
Oh my God.
Firestarter.
Jeez.
She was like, "Oh my God, I love this." I was like,
I
"Wow,
never
we used
really
to
got
rave."
into that 9 Inch Nails and that stuff.
I used to go to a warehouse.
How
No, it's all. I don't hate on it.
Damn.
It just didn't move me personally.
No, I only heard it when we would go to this warehouse and go dancing, and these people with they were raving. They're weird.
They were tripping balls, man.
Probably. I wasn't. I was always at the DD. Boo.
She's the dungeon master?
I said D, not DM.
You're playing Dungeons
gonna
and
bust-
Dragons.
But yes, I
Are
have
you
been
about
the
to bust
DM
out some
before.
cards?
She's the dungeon master.
So don't even go there. I have been dungeon master.
Oh, you've been dungeon master the last 20 years. What are you talking about?
All right, you can cut this out, but I had another.
You can't say that because I can't cut it out on the video.
Oh no!
I don't know how to do that.
Can I still talk?
Sure,
Something
I
I feel
don't
like?
care. Why not? It's
All
on
right.
YouTube.
Let's talk about who do you think?
The Who?
No,
Oh,
you can talk about the Who.
I don't like
but
The Who.
What I would like to do is tell me who you think put out one record that was fantastic, but they never really did anything else,
Ever.
or that you know of anyway. So
I got it right now. I know it.
I got mine, which is why I asked the question. Obviously.
Oh, so then I will be.
But
I'll
going
be a
third. I'm
good
going
host
third.
and let you go first.
I'm going third.
Why? Because you think you're going to trick me into this?
No,
you think I'm not going to
it was
say
my
it?
question. No, I want you to say it because I don't want to.
Mine was Christopher Cross.
Okay.
Yeah,
With
Yeah.
Sailing.
Christopher Cross with Sailing, Ride Like the Wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That's a good one.
That's strong. Nowhere
one-
near the one I'm going to pick. No, it's great.
I
but-
got to think.
No, I'm saying.
but I mean, just it was exploded, and you never heard from him again. Never. Really?
Didn't he do? But what about
he
Arthur's?
He did that
theme?
Arthur's theme, yeah. But that's really. But after that, I mean, that was
you're
his
right.
pinnacle.
Texas
And
Boy.
that was it.
Just
It was incredible.
how much money?
Or Men at Work.
Suppose he made out of. That's a good one.
Yeah.
How much money suppose Christopher Cross made off that record? Come on.
I think he's made a lot of money off that
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah,
it's
'cause now
because
it's
it's
in
playing
commercials.
today. It's,
He could probably still run through town and sell out the Florida Theater with those
Oh,
3 songs or whatever he
agreed.
did. You know what I
I'd
mean?
see him.
Because
What was the other one? There was one
Our
other
son
one
would
other
listen.
than
Ride Like the Wind, Sailing.
and there was Arthur's
Arthur's
theme,
Theme.
and then there was another one.
There is.
Damn.
We'll think of it.
Yeah, it'll come to me.
Come on, Christina. Who had one record that just?
Oh, God.
Mazzy Star.
Yeah, Mazzy Star.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mazzy Star was her
that's
jam.
the cool part of this question is you can grab from any era you want.
I'm trying to. what's
Whereas
that
our previous
kid's
questions, you
name?
had to have some
Oh,
history there.
It was a good album, but I couldn't think it. I can't think of his name. I can see the CD. It was.
Is it Jeff Buckley?
Yes.
Oh my God! Why are you screaming?
Da 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 da. How did I do that?
I don't know. How did you do that?
I did that because
Because that was his.
no, it's not. But that album is so
Yeah, it's impressive.
everybody loves that record, and it's like one of those just
I was just about to
everybody-
describe the cover.
yeah.
couldn't
It's like a
think of-
shadowy looking
Yeah.
thing, isn't it? Yeah.
That's
No,
weird.
I believe that was
Sorry,
the one.
I did scream. My
Yeah,
bad.
I knew you would. That's the. I mean, she does it every time. That was the one
His fault.
You just had somebody pull off the side of the road, going, "What the hell?"
Their ears are blown out.
I'm sorry.
Eyeballs are bleeding.
My bad.
Okay, Dennis.
Okay, mine. You guys are gonna think I'm terribly stupid, which I probably am, but I love the Knack. Get the Knack.
Oh,
No, I don't.
To me, it's poppy. It's dirty. If you ever listen to the lyrics, it's just filthy.
Uh-huh.
And I think we may dress like them. Not which they dress like somebody else.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
We can go right back around to the Beatles.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah. So yeah, the Knack, the Get the Knack record, man. But there's many.
I mean, I guess I could have also said Breakfast in America.
No,
I mean,
you can
that,
keep
that
going.
Really, that really was.
Supertramp.
I was just trying to trick you with, hey, this guy was just a flash.
No, that's
He
great.
Was a, he was
That
a,
was a good
a
one,
lightning
yeah.
flash, and then that was it. But Supertramp had a longer career, but that was really the album.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else.
You could
from
say
there.
the same thing, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh my God, you're
Loverboy?
crazy!" But REO Speedwagon with High Infidelity.
Yeah, well,
a lot of true REO fans hate that. record.
yeah. That was their commercial pinnacle.
It was.
But they had Riding the
Ride the
Storm
Storm
Out,
Out.
and
That's
everything.
where
They had all
everybody
that
goes
other,
to,
they had
yeah.
all that other stuff. A lot of stuff before that.
Do you know? Could
And
you?
then
I can't name any.
Because
Some
people would think that was the end of their career. Because then after that, you got "I Can't Fight This Feeling Anymore" bullshit, and you want to just.
You don't think
puke.
that's? I mean,
Oh no,
you really don't think it's. I mean, I don't want to listen to it either. But you don't really think it's a good song?
no, I don't think it's a good song.
All right, just checking.
Really?
I don't think "I Can't Fight This Feeling Anymore" is a good song. I do
You-
not.
You didn't have the lyrics.
Kevin
right,
Cronin
anyway.
said that it took him 10 years to write that song. So
Because it's
you're
so
saying
damn
that he
bad.
had to pull it out of the garbage can.
Yeah,
so
and
many
Robert
times.
Plant wrote "Stairway to Heaven" in 4 minutes because it's so good and so easy. Who was the other one?
And it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't
matter. No, it doesn't. I'm
Doesn't
just saying.
matter.
He just wrote down.
Janie
random
Lane
thoughts.
wrote "Cherry Pie" in 3 minutes.
So he says.
Easy
But-
song, easy, good song. Come
You
easy.
really- are you putting that up as a classic there? Cherry Pie?
Hey,
Stop.
hey.
Whether we like it or not is relevant. It's
Yeah.
a classic.
Yeah. Hey, whatever.
Don't
Yep.
get me wrong, I love it, but I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
I think you just like recoiled there. You're like, well, no, wait.
Well,
Wait
I
a
do
minute.
love it, but it's Warrant.
I don't
There-
love.
there's
I don't
one
love that
album.
song.
Hey, why are you?
There are warrant songs I
See,
love. but-
you just went full on Beavis and Butthead right
I
there. You
did.
just
Sorry.
crushed Winger for no reason.
My bad. Well,
And Winger, speaking of them, they might have been the most talented out of all hair bands.
They were great.
Dead serious.
They were great.
You
They
may
had
not
two
like their
albums, they were
music,
great.
but their musicianship and stuff, which you said earlier,
I
like you
don't-
don't know about.
You
that,
wouldn't know
but-
anything about it.
no, save the 4 years I played the flute. I know nothing.
Well, you must know something if you played the flute for 4
I
years.
can read some notes.
Well, then you've got that.
Plays a mean
There's
recorder.
that. That's cool.
She plays a mouth
Flute.
harp too.
Fuck you.
You don't know what a mouth harp is?
Yeah, I know what you're insinuating.
That wasn't what I was insinuating.
Bullshit.
That would have been the skin flute, I think.
Oh,
I think
good
that's
God.
the way that's.
See, yeah,
I
you,
think that's
you got
the
it
way
all
that's,
wrong.
Yeah, I don't.
Didn't go there on
I think he
purpose.
was actually being nice to you.
That's a verse.
Just
I wouldn't know.
saying.
I wouldn't know that, but
Anyway, guilty.
no, okay. So that's it. That's that.
All right, wrap it up.
That's it.
Wow, we really went off the rails there. I think.
Well, we always do.
Yeah,
we always
you
find
get
a way.
me in the room,
when-
you know that's going to happen. I'm going to.
When Dennis is in the house, we tend to go a little crazy.
I know.
So then the real question is, what do you all think? Is anybody out there listening? Anybody out there listening to this? Did you make it the hour and 10 minutes, and have a strong feeling, thinking, okay, you guys are way off. Please Please Me is the best Beatles album.
you wouldn't be wrong.
Right? Let It Be is the best Beatles album. Whatever. I don't disagree. I don't think any of us do. I think that's kind of the point. But we would definitely love to hear your feedback on it. You can email us, provemewrongcast@gmail.com. That's our email address. You can also find us on Facebook, on Instagram. Both of those are just Prove Me Wrong. You can look that up. You can search for it. If you just want to hear more content, you want to find the podcast, we are on pretty much every podcast platform that there is. Tunein Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you want to find us, you can find us that way. You can also like us on Facebook. We are on Facebook. You see, hopefully you're watching us now. There's this little scroll button, this little scroll right here. It says subscribe to Prove Me Wrong. You can like and subscribe to the page, and then you'll be first in line when new content just like this, or maybe less ridiculous, comes out.
Subscribe on YouTube.
And subscribe on YouTube. That's right. So before we go, here we go. A word from our sponsor. Tonight's episode was brought to us by ZendoZones. Citronella burners, they're from JT Eaton. We all live in Florida here. The bugs are big enough to steal the rent check. We need a good citronella burner, especially in some of those summer months. Good God. So we live by ZendoZones. They're shaped like fearless little bug repellent tiki gods. Let Surf and Stand, Hawaiian Howie, and Luau Lily bring the islands to your backyard with ZendoZone citronella burners. They use 3% natural citronella candles and incense cones. They're perfect for patios, decks, backyards, campsites, poolside, listening to your favorite Beatles album, and more. Enjoy the outdoors again. They are available on Amazon and at Ace Hardware. Tell them the Prove Me Wrong podcast sent you. You'll get absolutely nothing if you do that, but it'd be great if you did. Put in the notes on Amazon, Prove Me Wrong podcast referred me. That'll be great. I get a little kickback. Collect them all today. So for Dennis and the lovely Christina from the podcast, this is Pete Lieb, and once again, we will see you again soon.